I want to do a little bonus round here. Okay, Colin, I didn't prepare Colin for this, and I kind of sort of didn't prepare myself for this, but I want to do it anyway. There's one story in college football right now that you are so excited about to see how it plays out. What is the story that you want to see? And to give you a little bit of time to think about this, I'm going to go first. Jamie Newman opting out of playing in the 2020 season at Georgia is a tremendously big deal to me. It's not as big as the Big Ten Ohio State story, which I have covered all sorts of ways on my channel, but it's bigger because Georgia is expecting to compete for a national championship this year and the SEC championship. And all thoughts were store brand Cam Newton was going to get them there, along with Todd Monken, modernizing the offense and bringing in some concepts that are air raid-ish and developing that group of wide receivers into the kind of guys that can just be outstanding and great. George Pickens, we know he's going to be good, but that running back group of Zamir White, of Kenny McIntosh, of Kendall Milton, of Dajan Edwards, of James Cook is elite. And then you're going to have to replace 3 starters on the offensive line. Matt Luke's going to have to do a job that Sam Pittman was doing. But knowing that he's gone now, I'm waiting to see not what JT Daniels does, but what Dwan Mathis does. Because I'm telling people to buy all the stock you can in Carson Beck, because I believe backing the Beck is a great way to go because he was that good. This is a guy that was committed to Alabama that Kirby actually flipped. But he did that with Jake Fromm, and Jake Fromm was a great college quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback, even as at one point I did. Now, Dwan Mathis is getting so much more noise than I expected him to get, even when Jamie Newman was still a part of the team and healthy. And knowing that you have a 5-star or former 5-star in JT Daniels, who was really good as a true freshman, throwing 2,600 yards, 14 tutties, 10 picks, and then they changed the offense to one in which Keaton Slovis could actually go through, is big to me because I watched Dwan Mathis in warm-ups at Sanford when I went down there for the Notre Dame game. And he's enormous, and he wasn't cleared to play football because he's still coming off of, legitimate brain surgery. But he's so long and he's so athletic that they just have him out there just playing catch. And you know this, Colin, when you see some of these guys just out having fun and or just playing catch and going, I can't do that. The way that they are just able to move their bodies, the way that the ball comes when they're actually just throwing it around, the way they make these one-handed grabs like it's nothing, like they're just out there playing, is so much fun. And with a week 1 matchup against Arkansas, an Arkansas team that all of a sudden feels really good about playing Georgia and LSU, or I should say better than they felt last week. With Jamar Chase opting out, with Tyler Shelvin opting out, with Kerry Vincent opting out, with Ed Orgeron's entire team seemed to lose faith in him. They march on the president's office, he doesn't know what's happening. And now with Georgia actually scrambling to try to make sure that their, we think, number 1 choice in JT Daniels might be cleared to play, Dwan Mathis is lying in wait. And he might actually get a shot, which is another way of saying, if JT Daniels stumbles, I expect to see Dwan Mathis because he adds the element to their offense that Jamie Newman did and that JT Daniels does not. He can move and make things happen when the play breaks down. He's a guy that can turn a 17-yard loss into a 37-yard game, which is the reason that I love guys like Jalen Milroe. And the reason that I love guys like Kyler Murray. Your best player needs to have the football as much as he possibly can. And if your best player is also your best athlete, that's the kind of football that I want to run. So the most interesting story for me right now is Dwan Mathis at Georgia and what he turns out to be in the SEC and how that could shape the race for the SEC championship and that college football playoff berth that they are inevitably going to play for. So now that I have expressed myself on that, what's the one that you are most excited to see play out?
I am most excited to see just how right I'm going to be about LSU this year. I mean, they have a chance to be pretty darn bad. Don't get me wrong. I think they're going to win a couple of games, but I mean, their ceiling continues to drop with obviously Jamar Chase, Tyler Shelvin. The list goes on and on, opting out, and there could be more on the way. Next thing you know, if this team, let's say, runs into some COVID-19 situations or injury issues, I mean, I think that there's going to be a real exposure process in terms of some of the issues that squad has, depth-wise, experience-wise, especially going up against some SEC caliber opponents. I'm obviously very high on Alabama, like you are. I think Georgia, to me, is still contending for a number 1 spot in the season. And Florida, I'm still going to roll with the Gators as a really fun team this year. But, I mean, they go on and on. Like, they got to go travel to Auburn this year. I mean, I think they're at Texas A&M as well. The LSU Tigers going into this year may be the most unknown squad in the history of, like, post-national championship winners. I have no idea what I'm going to get with the LSU Tigers this year, but I know it's probably not going to be as good as what it was last year, and I know it's probably not going to be as good as all these quote-unquote national experts have them at. I mean, to me, I thought ranking LSU at, like, as high as 6 was absolutely criminal, and now the fact that they're going to be a little bit exposed this season, I think I'm very excited to see what we actually get from the LSU Tigers this year. I'm really excited to gloat about it.
I am too, because as I've said, they got more new faces than an integrated high school. Like, don't know any of these cats beyond recruiting, right? So, like, you and I, we follow these kids basically from the days they turned 14, 15, all the way through the NFL draft. And yet, I look at their roster, and I see dudes, right? I see Trey Palmer. I see Racy McMath. I see John Emery. You know, I see dudes. You know, I see Elias Ricks. Mm-hmm. I see Cordell Flott. Derek Stingley Jr. is a known commodity at this point. But my God, like, I've never seen such an exodus. They lost 35 players off of last year's squad. They returned 5 starters from not just the offense and the defense, but special teams. Like, 5 total. We're talking about dudes that were starting on kickoff. That's where we're down to actually acknowledging. And you got a new quarterback that was so bad that you brought in Joe Burrow to play for 2 years. Like, there was no pushing him out of the way. There was only, hey, Miles, it ain't you, dog. And now they have to let Miles play, or they got to throw Max Johnson or TJ Finley in there, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but not what you want to do. I'm with you. Like I've said for an entire year now, or I say a year, 8 months, LSU could catch 5 losses this year. And that has never felt more true than it does right now with an opener against Mississippi State and Mike Leach. Like, they haven't. The SEC has never seen or heard the air raid experience. I am so excited for them to be in air raid hell, particularly in the SEC West, because they think they know what they're going to see. They think they can out-athlete this scheme, and then Mike Leach and KJ Costello are going to drop 500 yards passing on your head on 80 attempts. And I'm so excited to see what Bo Pelini does on the sideline when he sees his 4-3 get lit the hell up by 5 wide every single down. Like, yes. I don't like LSU this year because of how good they were last year. That's just it. Like, if you're going to prove to me that you can reload and that you're the new Bama or the new Clemson, now's the time. But like you, I'm not buying it. No, man. And now, again, Arkansas is looking at their schedule going, wait a second, we have an opportunity to make history. We have the toughest schedule in the history of college football. What if we stack a win, not just, on a Georgia team that's down a quarterback, but on the defending national champs, on an Ed Orgeron who got up in front of a podium and said, hey, we're not going to gloat about beating Arkansas. They hadn't beat anybody in a long time. Yo, like, I get it. Arkansas has been bad basically since John L. Smith. But, man, do they ever just want to snatch a pelt right now? Like, I'm excited about it. Like, LSU's going to have to actually get it as much as they gave it last year. Colin, is there anything that you want to talk about that we did not talk about?
That's about it, man. Honestly, maybe the most excited thing I am now is talking about this is just to see angry Bo Pelini again. Like, do me a favor and make sure that guy is on the field because I want a camera following him 24/7 every single snap.
Man, that is Colin Kennedy. Catch him on the Twitters at ckennedy247. That is ckennedy247. He is dropping news and notes daily on OUinsider.com. The VIP board has more pin threads than anybody else in the network because Brandon Drum, Colin Kennedy stay on top of this stuff 24/7. I'm there lurking, responding, and really just trying to create some discussion from time to time. But these dudes are animals. Subscribe to the podcast, right? OUinsider.com podcast. Rate it, review it, leave us 5 stars. Y'all, VIP subscribers, make this podcast go. Yeah, that's going to do it for us. We will catch you guys next week to talk about OU and Missouri State. Deuces.